Welcome to the Scariest Things podcast, your gateway to the trends and tropes of the horror genre. This is episode 158, One and Done Horror, also known as horror movies that you've seen once but don't have a need to see again. I'm your host, Eric Lee, and I'm joined by my cohort in Portland,
Mike Campbell,
and of course,
Liz Williams.
So this is a special podcast because it is for one of our Patreon donors. This is for Peter Doan, who was generous enough to give it to send us some nice moolah. And so as befits the Patreon program, he gets to get a request.
Yes.
And so we are doing.
This is it.
This is a good one.
This is the request.
This is a
yeah.
good one.
And it's something
I had never really thought about this question exactly because I think fundamentally every single horror movie you watch is a horror film you probably shouldn't see. You probably shouldn't see again just for your for your psychological health. Like just don't watch it again. Once is plenty.
Right. So Liz, how did you approach this task?
I have one movie that I barely made it through and will absolutely never watch again and will tell no one to ever watch. I have one movie that I've actually probably seen twice.
Okay.
But it's so disturbing and I don't need to watch it again, but I think people should see it. And then I have a brand new one that I actually quite enjoyed, but it was not my style. It gave me a nightmare and I will not watch it again unless it happens to be at someone's party and it's on. So
a nightmare.
Wow.
I had a nightmare. Mm-hmm.
A horror podcaster had a nightmare.
Yep.
Is that even possible?
Wow.
We will discuss
well
it.
that's cool because I think one of the things that I was trying to glean from Peter's request was we're not talking about shitty movies straight off. I mean,
right.
Or not necessarily.
It could be.
Because there's some movies like I have some movies that I've got on this list. I have a backup just in case. I don't think we're going to collide. Mm-hmm. But I have one which is a movie that I just hate.
Oh.
And I
You hate a lot of stuff.
Yeah, I mean, come on. I mean, I'm pretty generous with my movie loves, but there are some of these things where it's just like it's no bueno.
Sure,
I don't want to go there again. I regretted having gone there in the first place. It was a movie where I left the theater angry.
Woo!
So that one I might not get to that one because it might be a collision. So,
okay.
Mike, so your philosophy?
My twist, which is all those things, and I think there's some films that are established so heavily on the twist, and not just a twist, but a major twist, to the point where once you see that twist, you can't unsee the twist, and you know the twist fundamentally, and that it kind of ruins a rewatch of the film.
So here's because I figured that this might be the case.
Yeah.
And I think that I have a counter to that. So we're just going to call this movie X.
Ooh,
not the Ty West movie X.
Sure.
But this is just a hypothetical movie X because it might be a movie that you're going to talk about.
Okay.
So it has all the trappings of the ultimate twist in a movie. But when you're done, if you watch it a second time, you see it in a whole different light.
Oh well,
right.
yeah.
So that's
right.
And I don't know. There's a few of these movies that you could say that about.
Well, and certainly not like a film like
Hereditary. The Sixth Sense.
I was going to say Hereditary because we talked about Hereditary just recently because I had just rewatched it sort of for the Halloween season, and it was a film that. Frankly, it was all the stuff that people kept talking about, the things like, look at the house and look at the models and look at the this and look at the that.
The necklace.
But it's like I didn't look at any of those things. But in fact, I looked at things that I'm pretty sure I saw the first go around that were so horrifying and so shocking that I absolutely blanked out of my.
No, you get tunnel vision with Hereditary.
Brain. Yeah.
And so actually having to see it, that's a great one, an example where it's. For some people, it's just too much, and they don't want to see it again. And that's a totally legit reason. It's like I don't want to see that again.
But I think I would watch it again and again. because I think this, as I said, the second time was all sort of repressed memories, and the third time, I think, if I watch it again, will be then I can start to hone in on the models and the necklace and the this and the
well,
that.
there were some other things that I didn't see when Liz and I saw this. There was a naked guy in the shadows.
Yeah.
And I was like, what the
Yeah.
where did that guy come from?
Yeah,
I never
yeah.
saw that.
Yeah.
That was on my second view.
Right.
Right. And so there are some times where, and that is a movie with, lots of things to spoil.
Sure.
Right. And so and it won't surprise, but I will take that back. It does surprise you because my brain went into lock on the plot of that movie.
Yeah.
And he had you moving your eyes around.
Yeah.
I think another movie like that is Psycho.
Sure.
Right. Where the twist.
Yep.
And that the bathroom scene is so infamous, but what you're doing, it's worth a second watch for the craft of movie making.
Sure.
And so there are, I've got one which is big twist.
Yeah.
I don't need to see it again.
Sure.
Right. And so that's going to be one of mine. And then I have one that was like, I can't take it anymore.
Okay.
And it was like one which was like, this movie made me feel miserable. I've got a couple of those, but my backup one.
You said angry.
No, this one didn't make me angry.
Oh, okay.
This one made me feel miserable.
One of the
made
other
me
ones
sad.
made you angry.
The other one made, and I'll do a quick drop on that one just because I blame you.
Okay.
So
Ah.
and you can't see it on we're not doing it on a video, but I'm pointing at Mike Campbell.
Oh, come on. Toxic Avenger isn't that bad.
Oh no, I love Toxic Avenger's great. I went in there fully knowing what I'm in for, and I enjoyed it. But what makes for me watching, what makes it worth watching over and over again? It's like, of course, my rule number one: do I care about the protagonist?
Yep.
If it's fun, I will see it again. If it just has high entertainment value, because I'll watch it just to get a lift out of it.
Sure.
If it is a complicated enough movie that I want to go back and figure it out, if it's a puzzly thing like Psycho or Hereditary, those kinds of things. Okay, intellectually I want to see it. If it gets my adrenaline going, like Aliens, I can see Aliens over and over again because it does gives you the dopamine rush. And if it's good to look at, like an aesthetically pleasing movie helps, even in an odd way like the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, which has its own look, but it's a solid look. I can do that.
Let me posit this because you just ran down very quickly a very so you referred to all of the 8 elements of the psychology of horror films, right? So you kind of like work.
God, remember that? We did that episode.
We did the episode. We did an episode where we looked at the psychology of horror films, and you kind of listed all the reasons why you watch horror films. So, assumedly, the reason why you don't go back and watch a film,
I have the counter to that,
is
also
because it violates
Yeah.
maybe all of those tenets potentially.
Yeah, I mean, there are some things which are some variants, but there's like one of them is not related to this. Is if the gore and violence is more than I can handle, and that I do have a threshold, and I think a movie that Liz just reviewed, I probably will not see because I'm not sure if I want to see it.
Okay.
If it makes me feel lousy just watching it,
Sure.
I've just been talking about that.
Yeah.
If the movie's a bit of a snoozer, right?
Okay.
If it's just
Right.
not, it's like, all right, I got through it. I don't know that I need to see it again. If a movie is completely dependent on a single moment and is otherwise a fairly simple formulaic film, most slasher movies. If I don't have a rooting interest in any of the protagonists, again, this goes to my rule number one. Most slasher movies.
Most slasher movies is a very hasty generalization.
Oh no, it's a broad
total generalization.
But I think, as opposed to like ghost movies, it usually involves the protagonist, heavily on the protagonist, and then the ghost is something that they're reacting to. Where in a Friday the 13th kind of movie, it's a meat grinder. And you have a final girl that you follow, but it's not. It's like, all right, I did that. I don't need to see it again. So, but those are not the ones that I'm going to come up with an explicit example on that. So,
okay,
why don't let's start with Liz.
All right.
Okay. All right. So I am going to start trying to figure out like what order I want to start in. I think I'm going to start with the one that was absolute garbage and I would tell no one to ever watch and I hated it. And that is the 2021 Taiwanese film, The Sadness. This movie is, I gave it 1 star. this movie is about a like zombie outbreak from the Alvin virus, and the only thing that these people, or Rob Jabaz, who is the director, brought to the genre to differentiate it from any other fast zombie story is that he made these zombies rapists. So
Yeah.
there's
Ugh.
literally no point. It is misogynistic. It is sexually violent. I am not going to get into, like the politics of Japanese sexual culture. And
Actually, this would be
they've got some
Taiwanese,
things going on.
Taiwanese,
Yeah.
Chinese.
Taiwanese, sorry.
Hey,
Chinese.
don't lump us all into
Asian-
one group.
Taiwanese
Although this would be more closer
sexual
to me.
culture, and how there's a woman on a train who's not being nice to a guy, so he's of course going to violate her in the most horrific way possible. So that's all they had to give to this genre. They had no other new ideas. So that is a cop out. That is low hanging fruit. That is in 2021, not what we need in the world. And done.
And
Garbage.
yet it
This
has.
movie's
I mean, if you
terrible.
go on to
2022.
It is.
2022, Liz.
yeah,
Well, it came out in 2021 in
Oh,
the
okay.
festivals.
Sure.
It
Yeah.
won Best First Feature at Fantasia in 2021.
Oh, man.
When I reviewed it, which probably was like 6 or 7 months ago, it had a 91 on Rotten Tomatoes. It has now dropped at least to an 89. That's for the critics. Audience score of 64%. I cannot
how
figure out who. It really kind of upsets me. I put that in my review. I have not been this pissed off or like jacked up about a film in
There
so
you
long.
go.
It's just mean and nasty to women, and this is not the time in the world where we need something like this.
Right.
Other than it had no redeeming qualities.
Yeah,
Zero. Terrible.
Liz, I largely concur with everything you said because I remember after you had reviewed it, I was like, well, geez, I gotta watch this and figure out what the heck this thing is, and I think I think in the past I had said something like it's about 30% of the film is like an A. Because the first part of the film I found
Right.
very, very engaging and very interesting, and the pacing was incredible. How fast it was, and how you saw everything just kind of falling apart at the seams,
Right.
almost instantaneously before your eyes. And then the latter part of the film, the latter 70+% is kind of like an F for all the reasons you just stated.
Yeah, no, you can totally undo a movie with.
Have you seen The Sadness?
No, because Liz gave it one
Ugh,
star, and I went.
Okay.
And I was like, I don't think I need to see it. I'll go pick some other bad.
It was
movies
about
to
the
watch.
hour mark, so I put that. There's a scene where you can tell what's about to unfold, and I literally looked at Wayne and I said, if they do what I think they're about to do, we are turning this off. And they did, but they did not have the courage to show it all the way. They just showed someone else's reaction and horrific sound effects. But
when they're in the hospital, that scene.
No, it's the eyeball scene.
Oh yeah. Well, that's in the hospital. Is that in the
eye rape
hospital?
scene?
Is that in the
Spoiler alert.
ooh.
Is that in the hospital or is that on the train?
It's right when they get off the train when they're on the way to the hospital.
That's right. Okay.
All right, yeah. I don't think I need much more convincing that
Yeah,
was not
spoiler
one for
alert.
me.
Sorry.
Sadness one and done. All right, Eric.
Sorry,
what do you got?
internet, one and done.
Okay, well, I'm coming at it from a slightly. This is a movie that is actually considered a classic, and is, I think most people really enjoy this movie.
Okay.
I've seen it once. I don't need to see it again.
Ooh.
This is Sleepaway Camp, 1983.
Oh.
Robert Hiltzik. This is a case where the big twist at the end of the movie is what separates it from the rest of its brethren. Spoiler alert for a 40-year-old movie. Angela Baker is not what you think she is. And it is quite literally both the audience and the character a jaw-dropping moment. The rest of the movie is not particularly different from Friday the 13th or The Burning. There is a summer camp where brutal murders pile up very quickly, with a shadowy killer upping the body count. Felissa Rose is excellent as Angela. She is one of the most intriguing characters from the early 80s B-movie era. She is a complicated and troubled kid who is the target of much hazing and harassment, and when the bodies start stacking up, it doesn't take too long to figure out that she's probably connected to this somehow. But what she is becomes the shocker. Sleepaway Camp in a modern context is
because it is a big twist.
It's a big twist. it's one that everybody memorizes. It's like there's a still image, and it's like that's what everybody knows.
Right, because I talked about this in our queer horror episode,
Mm-hmm.
and the still image that everybody talks about is not a quick 2-second still image. They hold that thing for goddamn near a minute.
It's the closing shot where it's like,
but it's
sleepaway camp.
It's a
Dun,
still.
dun, dun.
It's a still shot that they hold forever.
Yeah, and it is one of those things where it's like you're rubbing your eyes. And it's like, is that? It is. Oh my God.
Oh no, it's clear.
Yeah, and
it's very clear what it is.
I mean, but your brain is adjusting to it, right? And when you first see it, it's a holy moly moment.
Yep.
But it's not a movie that's got a lot of things like Hereditary with like a little hidden messages and that kind of stuff. Because the guy, I think you mentioned this when we were talking about our top. Or actually, I don't know if it made our top 100.
It didn't. I talked about it in queer horror.
In queer horror, where this director was pretty much the only thing he did was sleepaway camp movies.
Right.
He did this one, and then he did a sequel, and then he did a documentary about the movie, and he did another sequel.
Yep.
But it was, but this whole thing, it's a bit of a horror movie anachronism. I do think, and I think you touched on it, that the weird sexual content is kind of problematic in this day and age. There's some kind of odd gay baiting subtext. Like lots of buff dudes in their wearing shorts where their junk is clearly showing.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's two camps on that question because I think there are some trans writers who have written about sleepaway camp in a very positive and say it presents a very positive message, but there's other people that have looked at it and said no, it's not as positive as you think it is, maybe, and it is dated.
I don't think so. I mean, my take on it is it makes trans people look awful.
That's one take, and then another take is it's very, very empowering and bold.
It's like that's like if you don't like the way it is, I'm gonna it's like, well, I think that the fact that Angela's not spoiler alert, Angela's the killer, and is revealed to be a boy at the end, and but they do it so shockingly, and it's like full frontal nudity of a kid covered in blood,
right?
And that's like, yeah, that's not great. That's not, and it's like you look like a freak.
Yeah.
And it's like, you are weird, you're strange, you're the other, you're dangerous. Not a good look. But it's still one of those great horror movie moments. At the same time, it's a bit problematic in the way. So that way I would say it's like, yeah, I saw it a long time ago. I was shocked when I saw it. I don't need to go back.
Yeah. All right. My first film is a film, 1979 film with Carol Kane, Colleen Dewhurst, Tony Beckley, and Charles Durning. This film, of course, comes from the folk legend, The Babysitter and the Man Upstairs, that sort of started kicking around in American folklore in the late 50s, early 60s. This is When a Stranger Calls. Still probably top 5 best opening scenes of all time in horror.
The call is coming from inside the house.
The call is coming from inside the house.
Yeah. And in fact, the first 12 minutes of Wes Craven's Scream from 1996, he openly admits was a perfect homage to this film. He
cut and paste.
He based everything around Scream, around When a Stranger Calls. I think When a Stranger Calls, as I say, the first 20 minutes, pure brilliant filmmaking. After that, it's not just the fact that it's a police procedural. It's just boring. It's so boring.
It's like just watch the opening act and then just make it a short film. Just call it a night. It's like, wow, that was scary.
Yeah, and the funny thing about When a Stranger Calls is that originally the MPAA voted to give it a PG rating, but then one of the people, this was of course this was several years prior to PG-13, and one of the members of the Classification and Ratings Administration, a guy named Richard Hefner, he looked at it and he said, well, this is not a film that you would take your family to, so this can't possibly be a PG film. And so he made the Classifications and Rating Board or Rating Administration go back and re-vote on it, and they voted on it as a rated R film. Funny enough, if you go and look at it now, it's it's a PG film. I mean, it's like it could probably
Didn't it have the butchered kids? I didn't like upstairs. Didn't it have that? It's been a long time. I mean, I've seen it once.
Yeah,
No
I've
need to
only
go
seen
see it
once.
again.
Yeah. Well, maybe we're gonna
Yeah.
maybe we'll watch it one more time. Just one more. All right, Liz, what do you got?
Pick a new film. Pick a new film. Okay, my next one I have seen more than once, but I don't really. I think I probably only saw it the second time preparing for this podcast for something, and so this one opens with the tagline: "To avoid fainting, keep repeating. It's only a movie. It's only a movie.
Yes.
It's only a movie." And this is 1972's Wes Craven, The
Uh-huh.
Last House on the Left.
Speaking of misogynistic movies,
I know.
Ooh.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yes.
don't watch Wes Craven movies.
But I am so much less offended by this than I am by the sadness
there's some sweet
because
revenge in it too.
there is some sweet revenge, and also there is a big difference between the mindset of 1972 and what is going on right now.
Mhm.
And just, I don't know. But oh goodness, this one has that 70s sleazy look to it. It is filmed on probably like a handheld camera. It looks so real. This is a tough film.
Yeah, it's kind
Such
of
a
a movie
tough
that makes you want
film
to
to
take a
get
shower
through.
after.
It makes you want to take a shower right after it. Yes, it does have some sweet street revenge, but probably the 40 minutes getting to that, getting to even when they're in the house, the last house on the left, to
Yeah.
get that sweet, sweet revenge is brutal. And I
think I remember. Well, I've seen this. I'm with you there, Liz. I think
Whew.
I've seen it once,
Yeah.
and I remember going, "Don't, no,
Yeah.
don't." It's like, and
Yeah.
all of a sudden, it's like just reactionary, and it's like I didn't. All of a sudden, I realized I was talking to the TV, and was like, "Oh, all right."
it's just hard
Yeah.
to watch. It's hard to watch. Now, this is one that I would probably recommend not a gateway film watcher watch, but a horror fan. Most horror fans who are listening have probably already seen this because it is like a canonical 70s horror
yeah.
movie.
Yeah.
And,
No, it's-
you got to see it once, but once is enough.
Mhm.
It's a great movie, but it's so hard to watch.
Liz, did you ever watch the remake of?
I cannot remember if I saw the remake.
Man.
I
Okay.
don't think
The
that I
remake-
would have
the
because I
remake's
don't know why they would have
pretty-
remade it.
It's pretty different.
It's
The end.
slicker.
Yeah. Okay.
No, the end is very different.
Oh,
Yeah,
the end.
yeah.
Mm.
That's all I'm gonna say. All right, Eric, what do you got?
I feel like I'm not going to go watch it. but-
Okay. So my second movie, I will just straight out say it's an excellent movie.
Oh,
It's a complicated movie with rich characters and absolutely mind-numbing thrills.
uh-oh.
The opening hour of the movie is devoid of horror. I'm talking about Audition.
Ooh.
Oh, really? This is a one and done for you?
Yeah, and let me walk this through for you. Okay, so the
Okay.
third act, which has so many wince-inducing, painful moments being executed by
guy.
Asami upon Shigeharu as she unloads her entire toolkit of needles, wires, and saws, it's all a bit too much.
Mhm.
But that alone, I mean, that's not really the thing. It's sort of the juxtaposition of the calm before the storm, and the storm is a Class 5 hurricane in this case.
Mm-hmm.
There are a couple of reasons why once is enough. First off, you have to sit through a lot of character development. It's a romance film where the slightly creepy, powerful man selects a beautiful young woman to be his paramour, knowing that what is going to happen renders much of the first two acts completely moot. Right, all that character building, the urge to fast forward to get to the action would probably be very strong.
Yep.
Because it's like,
Mhm.
okay,
Yeah.
get to it, and that's part of the problem. The horrific third act is made more powerful because of all the character development, so it earns it, right? It's like this is violence that is earned, and then at that point, by the time you hit it, I'd probably want to go, oh, I forgot, I want to skip past this too. It's a very oddly paced movie in that way. And
It is, yeah.
And Mike and I, and we've talked about this before. Mike and I saw this together, and we
Mhm.
was like, kind of like, come on, get to it, come on. I
Right.
heard this was supposed to be scary.
Stop!
And then it was like,
stop getting to
it's
it.
like-
Stop
it's like,
getting
too
to
scary,
it.
Too scary.
Yeah, go back.
And so like it was an unrelenting last 20 minutes, almost unwatchable. Literally, Mike and I.
I don't know that
turning-
I watched it.
Yeah, it's like turning away, and you hear kitty, 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 kitty,
Yep.
and then you see someone. You're just like, and they show everything.
Mhm.
Um,
Yes, they do.
So
That's a good point.
Yeah.
Where the first time you're experiencing the whole journey, if you were watch it again, you're like, well, I'm not going to sit here for an hour and a half watching this romance just to get to the quote unquote good stuff.
Right.
We'll fast
right.
forward.
Yeah, and then it's like, and so it's like not really watching the movie. So in a way that with the Shudder Top 100 moments came out and they showed, and I went, oh, that's right. Oh, they're not even showing half of it, but it's like they showed the piano wire cutting off a foot.
Yeah,
right.
The
It was
foot,
like,
yeah.
Holy shit! It's like that was.
And they showed the
that was fun
bag.
stuff. Yeah, the guy in the bag.
Yeah.
Right.
So it's a very high on the bridge too far meter. I think I was able to take it, but barely.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think that the first 2 acts are worth me sitting through and renting a movie
Right.
and just
Fair.
sort of going through. It's like I'll just watch the highlights. If I'm in the mood to see someone just get taken apart piece by piece, yeah.
And
I'll
I only
watch
have
the
20
highlights.
minutes. I'll go to audition.
Exactly. So, but again, it's an excellent movie.
It is.
Good
yeah,
point.
yeah.
Yes. Yes, it is.
All right. My next film is a film I reviewed a couple years ago called Terrifier. This is the 2016 American independent slasher film that follows Art the Clown as he hunts 3 women down on Halloween night. The film lacks any clear protagonists. There's very little depth. There's very little writing. There is a lot of gore. Much like or partially like Audition.
But do they build up characters?
No.
Like, the great thing about Audition is it's made awful because the guy, Shigeharu is actually a good. He's a bit of a. I mean, what he's doing is a bit
and that's what I
creepy,
just
but
said. That's what I just said. It's largely devoid of any protagonist protagonist development, which is one of the big problems of the film. But the film itself, if you were to just take it cold, is actually not a. It's not a. It's a good looking film. Mm-hmm. It's pretty well put together, but it just lacks any sort of. It comes off as very cold and very insensitive. I said in my review, if your sole intention is watching horrors to peep a never-ending stream of steamy intestine, then it's okay to ignore me and this entire discussion. Terrifier's for you. It's gore for gore's sake. Lots of gore, no story, no one to root for. Just a gob of greasy gore and guts.
Yeah.
And I like gore. I do like gore a lot.
Your favorite movies are Romero movies.
My favorite movies are Romero movies. This just doesn't have enough for me. I think Art is as
creepy looking.
As a character is very creepy. His gesticulations are very unnerving. The gore in the film is way over the top insane, but there's just no story that goes along with it. And that's what I would say. I saw Terrifier once. I don't think I need to go see Terrifier again, even though Terrifier is, it is the hotness in 2022. People love Terrifier 2. You go on any horror forum, any horror movie site, and they are talking up Terrifier, both Terrifier. Well, the original Hallows Eve, is it All Hallows Eve? Hallows Eve, the original one that he did as a short, Terrifier, and then Terrifier 2. People love this. It's like for the amount of money that they put into Terrifier 2, it is killing it at the box office. It's like
You're gonna steal all my thunder.
Oh, sorry.
Terrifier 2 is my pick for my
done.
Liz,
perfect transition. Go. Terrifier 2. Perfect
Terrifier
transition.
2 is my new pick. So yes, as Mike was alluding to, they made this movie for $250,000, and as of October 6th, which is about a month ago, it has grossed over $10 million at the box office.
Yeah.
Now it is available on streaming on Screambox, which is where I just saw it literally Saturday night. And I have not seen Terrifier 1 because I had heard exactly what Mike just said. But I was like, what is going on with Terrifier 2? People are losing their minds over this movie. I have got to see it. And I was like, it is 138 minutes long. It is over 2 hours.
You guys like the short movies.
Yeah.
I like a short movie. And so I was like, oh my God, I can't see it in the theater. I just can't. I'll see it at home. Okay. This is probably the goriest movie I have ever seen in my entire life. I watched it with my friend Amanda, and we both had the coward's veil up. She was like, I'm not looking. Are you looking? And I'm like, I'm looking halfway under a blanket.
That was me and Mike for audition. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. It was so gory. And with the runtime, you had, one of the kill scenes that I think is like the one I was talking about with is the main character friend's Allie in her bedroom. I think it goes on for like 7 minutes. And
that's like cruelty.
It is cruelty, but their effects are great.
Yep.
You kind of care a little bit about some of the characters, but you don't know them enough to care that much. But you don't want this to happen to them.
Right.
No one is an asshole or a jerk or anything. But they did add a bit more story.
Okay.
It's kind of weird how they ended up in this one, but they did add a little bit more story. So you do care about the two main protagonists, which I have already forgot the names of them. So, Jonathan and Sienna. But oh my gosh, I'll never watch it again. I had a nightmare after it. It was 2 hours of nonstop disgusting gore, but this is for the gore hounds. I get why they will love it, and see it once and then I am done. But it is, it is brutal.
Who the makeup guy was for this, or assuming it's a guy?
Let me see. I will look while you are.
I've heard the warning. My uncle said, "Hey, I've heard this movie makes you want to throw up.
Right.
You guys going to review this?" And
I can see people. I could see where if you are, especially not if you're more of a newbie and you're like, oh, it's October, it's Halloween time, let's go see this crazy movie in the theater. I could see that if you had a couple beers and went to dinner first, you could lose your lunch.
Yeah.
I could see it. Yeah. I could see it.
Because I think we had on our Friends of Scariest Things Facebook thing, we had this running commentary on what was the last horror movie that made you sick.
Oh,
or
yeah.
did anything make you sick to your stomach? It's like,
or any movie. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like, well, I had an old English 800 at Rocky Horror Picture Show back when I was in
doesn't
college.
count.
And I was like, so that made me puke, but I haven't.
That wasn't the movie. That was the old English 800.
Exactly. I was like, oh, it feels so good. But yeah, it had nothing to do with. Well, I don't know. I mean, the quality of the movie. I know that it would besmirch a number of my friends, but it's like that movie's pretty lame.
All right.
Let's see.
Is that going to be?
Wait. What's the? No,
it says. Oh, he's the man behind the makeup. I'm trying to find it. The guy who plays Art the Clown is terrifying.
Yeah.
Art is terrifying.
Mm-hmm.
Is he a supernatural character, or is he just a weirdo?
Well, he comes back to life at the beginning of this, a la Michael Myers. But since I didn't see the original,
this is gonna be
I don't know how dead he was.
No doubt, this is the next franchise because it's built upon an iconic monster.
Oh, the filmmaker did it. His name is Damien Leone, and he is the special effects guy.
Yeah.
Wow.
Here's what I think is going to happen. I hope it doesn't. Yeah. I hope he hangs on to this property. After seeing how much money this thing has made and the buzz around this, I hope a big studio does not buy it and then takes away everything that is indie and
intrinsically
pure
nasty about it
and
too.
Nasty about it. Because this thing, I am not a gore hound. I can put up with it, but
no, and that's saying something. Liz Williams likes her some extremism.
This was a lot.
Yeah,
lot.
Damien Leone, he wrote it, produced it, directed it.
Did he come from the? I'm assuming that he's going to be like a Rob Bottin type of character who was a makeup specialist who decided to go into directing, because that sounds like if you're that good at executing gore stuff.
Yeah, maybe. I mean,
like if he has a track record of doing lots of zombie movies or something like that, who knows?
Yeah. Well, he is 3 films into it, so.
Yep.
All right, Eric, what do you got?
Oh, I've got another movie that is considered great because it's on our top 100.
Oh my gosh, a top 100 film you won't watch again?
Yeah, this movie made me feel lousy. It was really a real downer.
And Debbie Downer.
Although, again, I respect this movie. This movie is bleak. This is Eraserhead.
Oh.
I saw it in the dorms because Chris Ralph got it. And I was watching it. I was like, what? It doesn't get much bleaker than this. It's a downtrodden man living in a nightmare world, staring out into the polluted and desolate gloom of an alternate reality industrial post-apocalyptic London, maybe.
Check, and check.
Yeah, this movie seems to be a companion piece to Pink Floyd's The Wall. It's the imagery is startling and unsettling. There is little to no dialogue. You don't care for this guy, Henry, Jack Nance, as he's abandoned by his girlfriend, who leaves him to care for a constantly crying mutant baby, who he isn't sure is even his, and it's just covered in flies, and it's crying the whole time. And then Henry slips into madness, and it's a draining experience just watching this, because it's like there's like very little conversation. There's this creepy fetus animal looking baby thing that is supposedly his baby. It's like got pussy sores and is bleeding from weird places. It's dying, and he doesn't know what to do.
Now here's a question for you: are there any David Lynch films you would watch a second time? And I'm not talking.
I'd watch Blue Velvet again.
Okay.
I'd totally watch Blue Velvet again.
Okay.
I'd watch, Mulholland Falls.
Drive.
Mulholland Drive.
Mulholland Drive.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean,
so there's two you would.
no, I mean those are. This is this was the creation of David Lynch's noir sensibilities.
Yep.
But again, Henry's a sad sack, and the whole situation seems hopeless, and the movie makes you feel like it. I mean, really, the character in this movie, it's the atmospherics.
Sure.
Right? Extreme contrasting black and white.
Yep.
The exaggerated shadows highlighting Henry's crazy hair and silhouette. He's just funky. He looks like who's Kid and Play, right? Or who's the guy?
Yeah.
Who's Kid and Play?
Let's Kid and Play.
Right. Let's Kid and Play. I think it was Play.
And then there's the
pimples
pimples and blisters on both the fetus baby and the strange dancing fairy who stomps on a rain of fetuses in her dance routine. Yeah, it's good times.
Yeah.
Right. It's just like, I don't need to see this again.
So you're not watching it. You saw it once.
It's like it just
a couple years ago.
Yeah, and it's like
not going back to rewatch.
Movie would make you like don't be in a bad mood when you see it, or you might like jump off a building. This is just it is a downer movie. Eraserhead, good movie. Won't want to see it again.
Yeah. You do think it's a good movie after you bagged on it.
It is as a piece of art.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Okay.
It is the thing. It's like you can't stop watching it. It just makes you feel bad.
I think the only reason I would watch Eraserhead again is because I frankly don't remember a lot of it.
It's not. It is a really confusing movie.
Oh, I know it is. But I just don't. There's I only have sort of vague memories of the film.
There's some moments.
I've made it all the way through.
There's some moments where it's like they're having a family dinner with the girlfriend who's going to ditch him, and the parents are there and they're laughing, and there's these Cornish game hens, and it's cutting into him, and they start bleeding and kicking, and it's like, man, that's it's surreal. It's like Salvador Dali in black and white. I'm not down for that.
Yeah,
not really.
Yeah,
I mean, it's like I can say that I've seen it. I can say that I can appreciate it. Don't want to see it again.
Okay. All right. This is the film I was talking about earlier when I was saying, when the twist is so big, and the twist comprises such a fantastical portion of the film that once you know the twist, you don't want to go back and rewatch the twist because you've seen the twist. As Roger Ebert put it, the film had a plot hole, but it was a plot hole that was not only large enough to drive a truck through, but in fact, it does have a truck driven right through it. This is the French new French extremity movement film High Tension from 2003.
Oh, you won't see High Tension again? Oh,
no, because I know the twist.
Okay.
And I mean, kind of in a little bit different way. And you'd referred to this recently, with A Stranger Calls. The beginning of When a Stranger Calls is brilliant. Yeah. The beginning of High Tension is brilliant. All
the way up to the gas station scene. All the way up to that. It's just amazing.
Yeah, I would tell people, go watch the first half hour of this film, man, and you will be completely floored. It's just when you get to the twist on the back end of the film, you go, oh. I mean, some people do really, really enjoy the twist, and I get that.
No, yeah.
Okay, well, some people do. Some people do.
Okay.
But I didn't really care for it, coupled with the fact that now I know it. I know exactly what it is, and to me, I don't need to go back and re-see that twist.
Yep. I think it's, for me, because I've seen this like maybe 3 times.
Yeah, a couple times. Yeah.
Yeah, because I I like watching the editing and how masterfully they set up that first invasion of the house. But part of me is also trying now. To your credit,
Yeah.
I think the twist is not backed up.
Right.
It's not
Right.
that it's like I think it was like a twist for twist's sake because you go back to Sixth Sense, you go back to Hereditary, those kinds of things that you can see the trail of breadcrumbs and you go, oh, cool, yeah. I can see how that this is. When this one is like, I don't get how the twist works out because it doesn't make
how did that
sense.
go from point A to point B? Yeah, made no sense.
So to that end, yeah, I mean it's like 2/3 of a perfect slasher movie, and then the wheels come off.
Okay, yeah, I can go for that. All right, any other horror films you would not see again?
Well,
because I know you always have a list.
I made an allusion to this before,
and don't talk about Anthropophagus because
I haven't seen Anthropophagus.
I haven't seen it once.
No, I told you I was going to blame you for this.
Uh-oh.
Can you guess what it is?
Halloween Kills.
No. I walked into Halloween Kills with eyes open, and it was kind of fun for me to yell at the film, just to say, cut his hands off.
What was the one before Halloween Kills?
Halloween.
Oh no, that was Halloween Kills. It was Halloween Ends.
Halloween Ends. Yeah.
No.
I don't know that I'll see Halloween Ends again. Yeah. Although I might, because they did say that they are coming out with a physical copy of it here very soon, and it's going to be like an extended. I thought you were going to say another one, where an
it's
extended
not
version,
end.
And I feel like I just kind of need to watch it again, just because. I was just so gobsmacked by Halloween Ends that I do feel like I need to rewatch it again and just go, God damn it! Did I really just see? Did I really just see
just
that?
Like where's Michael? They nerfed Michael Myers. What's going on here?
All right.
So no, this was now when I left Halloween Ends or Kills, I was frustrated.
Sure.
I was kind of like, but. I also know that they mastered some of the gory bits.
You did punch a hole in the wall.
It's like, motherfucker.
That's more than frustrating.
Like broke my hand. No, I that one, I can make peace with Halloween Kills.
Sure.
House of a Thousand Corpses, however, is a movie that I actively dislike.
Okay.
And I don't think I don't see any redeeming values in this movie.
Man, I'm telling you, go back. I rewatched it this last year, and it's
obnoxious.
It is a little dated, but there's some legitimately great stuff in it.
It's loud. Everybody yells all the time.
Yeah, a little bit.
The color thing is like it is Rob Zombie not understanding how to use the Argento palette properly. It's just like
first film.
Totally
first film.
Totally
first film, yeah.
An ugly film to look at. There was you hated the protagonists are awful. Even though it's interesting, you have some like Rainn Wilson was in that.
Rainn Wilson and Chris Hedwick.
Chris Hardwick. From
Hardwick, yeah.
The comedian who's also Walking Dead. Yeah, Talking Dead,
yeah.
So I mean, and there's Bill Moseley, there's Sid Haig. It's chock full of iconic people, but it's just all performances that were over the top, and no, you didn't like anybody. And the thing that made me mad was I know that what Zombie was after was he wanted you to side with the Fireflies.
Right.
He wanted you to root for them to kill these people.
Right.
And it's like I think that's dirty pool. I really don't like that. It's like the only reason why I didn't leave was because you were my ride. I thought about just going because we were at the Lloyd Center Mall.
Right.
And I thought about just going shopping and say, hey, listen, when we're done. But this was before I had a cell phone. Right. So it's like, I don't know. It's like, all right, when the movie's over, maybe I'll catch it. And I just sort of gutted it out and finished it.
I know what Eric's getting for Christmas.
It's like it'll make some good kindling if I get a physical media copy of House of a Thousand Corpses.
You're getting a Captain Spaulding plushie.
Yeah. Hot take from Eric. This is, I do have a soft spot for Sid Haig.
Sure.
Right? Because I think he is one of the more unusual looking guys. He's kind of like Ron Perlman.
Sure.
Right. He is. He's sort of this extreme looking character, big guy, kind of craggy faced with just but but he's managed to carve out a living in on the fringes of the of cinema, being kind of an interesting character. I loved him in Spider Baby. He was a kid when he was in Spider Baby. I thought he was fun in Planet of Terror.
Sure.
Right. But in this, this was his probably his showiest, most famous role, and it was like, oh man.
Well, following on that note, I just started watching, because it came out right around Halloween this year, the Rob Zombie remake of The Munsters.
Okay.
And we watched about, I'm going to say, maybe 15 minutes of the film, which was pretty unwatchable.
Okay.
Myself and my 11-year-old. And a couple days after we watched the 15 minutes, I said, hey, you want to finish that? You want to give it a go? And my 11-year-old emphatically said, no, that was garbage. After 15 minutes.
Rob Zombie can't please a 13-year-old.
11-year-old.
11-year-olds, okay.
Yeah, an 11-year-old with sort of what is effectively family fare in the Munsters, but it is a pile of garbage.
I like The Devil's Rejects, and I like Lords of Salem.
Yep. Yeah, Devil's Rejects.
Like Three from Hell, if you remember, was my worst movie from a few years ago.
Sure.
Because the other thing that Rob Zombie has a problem with is that he wants to show up. He wants to be Quentin Tarantino and do all these nods and winks to how much he knows about horror, about cinema in general. And so he will just have this weird exposition from somebody just spitting out cinema trivia kind of stuff, and it's like, I don't need that. That's like you're bogging the plot down with useless stuff. Stop it.
I think he may get there at some point. I think he actually.
I think his heart's in the right place.
His heart is in the right place
for most of his films.
I think you're right. I think that he has, and he's built a cult following. And again, for the longest time, House of a Thousand Corpses had a better rating than Hereditary on Amazon Prime.
Does it still?
I think Hereditary has passed it since then.
Okay.
But for a long time, I think people couldn't handle Hereditary because it was just intimidating. It was it's a rough movie. And I know a lot of people who won't see Hereditary more than once because, nope, that's it. That's too strong for me. That movie made me, that movie did mess me up.
All right. Well, let's get out of here with the films that you will not see again. Liz, what was on your list?
I started with The Sadness. Then I had Wes Craven's 1972 Last House on the Left, and finished off with the 2022 Damien Leone film, Terrifier 2.
All right. Eric. Oh, me. You want me to go? All right. When a Stranger Calls, Terrifier also, not Terrifier 2, Terrifier 1, and High Tension. Now Eric goes.
Okay, so I did.
Eric's list is long. Long and bountiful.
But fortunately, there's Sleepaway Camp.
Sleepaway Camp. Audition.
And Eraserhead. So one word things, and I threw in an extra thing, which is House of a Thousand Corpses,
and the entire Rob Zombie catalog.
Catalog.
Yeah, that's fair to say. Sorry, Rob Zombie.
So I wonder if the guy who made Terrifier and Terrifier 2 would be very flattered that both his films got on ones we said it's too much, too gory, can't do it again.
Okay, well, I think I've got the perfect tagline to get us out.
Ooh, yeah, do it.
This is from House of a Thousand Corpses.
Oh.
The movie some never wanted you to see. So